All right. What's up? It's been a while. Hope you've been doing well. Lately, there's been some talk on the interwebs about having a deployless configuration for your projects. I think Dark has been a big proponent in that category, if not the only one. At least it's the only one I've heard of. So what do they really promise a little bit? Maybe it's easiest if I can just show you some features, I think. Yeah. Let me just real quick check the sounds. All right. Right, so what do we have? Maybe I thought, just to play around with Dark in itself, it would be cool to rewrite our effort challenge application into using Dark as a backend, and then yeah, see how that goes. So that was the idea. So this will give the development team that's behind Dark also a good idea of what developers are struggling with, I think, and yeah, maybe get some hints on what to fix if anything. So there we go. What I already did was followed a let's say a tutorial by the nice people of Dark themselves. So maybe you can just show all of this stuff. Hosting assets in Dark. This is the stuff I already followed. So this helps you set up a React app that you can then host or end up hosting on Dark itself on their CDN. And that's what I already went through. Left some feedback there because Vue is a little bit differently. Hey, I just noticed that they added something like this. Right, and then, so after I went through this, I finally got a running web app here. So this is our current Vue front end that has all of their REST calls pointing towards Dark endpoints, Dark REST API endpoints. So whenever I do a call, like, let's make it sure that you guys can see this as well. So that should be a little bit easier on the eyes. So let's just check the network. And if we do, for example, a refresh of the competitions page, we can see that there is a get call to API competition. We get a 200 from that. So I've been playing around a little bit already, so you'll be able to see some of the things that I used already. And one of them is indeed a get for an index. So that just serves the index HTML from the static assets that are shown somewhere here. So this shows my deployments already. So basically you treat this as your personal web server. And then these are both, like standard stuff. And then maybe I should make some room and pull them here so that we can get an idea of what we're actually interested in. So some of these things I can't get rid of yet. I guess it's because it's still in the beta that you can't delete database components just yet. But I think that the idea is that you will be able to eventually. Right, so let's see. You know what? Let's first check, in fact, if this thing is live. It should be, Yeah, we are live. Okay, cool. Right, so we did get this HTTP endpoint set up, and let's see. So normally, if I click on this, I can see. There we go. Made 1 minute ago. This is the actual request that was sent via the static resource. It contains a bunch of header stuff and then a URL. No query parameters, no JSON body whatsoever, and that's about it. And you can see the trace. The thing that this does is it's going to fetch all of the elements in competition's data store. And what is our competition's data store? Well, it's just a database, and it has, or it's going to provide elements that have a name, a start date, and an end date. You can also see which code blocks, let's say, or components in here that are using this competitions table. And in my case, it's just an HTTP handler /API/competition, and then another one for the post. So if I click on this one, that's the one we were just browsing. You can also click through on this thing. There we go, which makes navigation quite easy. So if I just show you this, it makes sense. There's no data available because there aren't any competitions, which is correct, right? So let's just try and first just add some competitions for starters maybe, and then make sure that that get call is doing what it's supposed to do. Because I haven't actually tried that thing out yet. So how can we do that? We can, for example, populate the database by just adding a new REPL, so a new read eval print loop. There we go. And the thing I want to do is, I guess I want to db insert or something, or add, create, I have no idea, set, it's, yeah, it's gonna be, so set. By the way, Dark is a functional language, which looks, I think, the most like ReasonML, because it features both like the dynamic parts of maintaining objects like ReasonML has, but still allows functional programming to happen. So there we go. Hey, Audacious Ferris, thanks for the follow. So what do? We get instructed, if you want to do a database set, you want to put through a dictionary object. So what we can do is start by adding a name, for example. Here's the dark competition or something like that. And then what we can do as well is add a start date. Let's say it starts today or something. Now, yeah, there we go, now. And then let's say that it ends, add, I don't know, add stuff to now, seconds, the amount of seconds, I don't know, like 60 or something, I don't care. There we go. And then the other thing that we get instructed to add is a key. And you can, I think there's a generate key function for that. So I don't think we're interested in all too much of that. The other feature that you can check, by the way, is replaying this function so that you can just execute that little part. And then you can see what it would return. So in this case, a generate key thing would return a UUID, which is actually the thing that we want. At least I think that's what we want. Yeah, I think so. There we go. Then a data store. So that will be our competitions data store. As I said earlier, this competition stamp thing is not something that we want. It's just going to be competitions that we want. There we go. And then that should finalize the entire statement. Now there are some red lines here that mark this thing as being incomplete. This is because and that's how I understood it at least, is that Dark, or the editor that we see in front of us, uses previous calls to determine the outcome of your code, basically. So I think what we can do, because here it says incomplete, if we would play this function, we know, or we can verify that this start date thing would be correct, because the resulting outcome of this is something that satisfies this start date thing. Same for here, I guess. There we go. And then for db set, we haven't done it either yet. So normally the other thing you can do is like at some point it said like, okay, there we go, 0 entries. So if I were to execute this entire REPL, there we go, we can see the output, which is this thing. And now it also shows up as it's locked. So if we want to change something to this table, we need to do some migrations, give it a new version, stuff like that. There we go. We needed to wait for the refresh a little bit. So now we can see that there is at least one entry, the one we just entered. And that means, or it should mean, see, why doesn't it show? There we go. So sometimes when you click it or focus it again, it doesn't show these things just yet. So now if I was to rerun this request, not sure why this is highlighted though. So if I were to rerun this, and I think this is how you do it. So replaying it using this request, original request. There we go. We would return this JSON object. So that means if I could just now just refresh this page, my dark competition should end up there or not. So there might be something else going wrong now. Let's first check the network thing, that it indeed returns something. It did not, however. I am confused. Oh, maybe I should look at this. So there we go. It did return an array containing something that has a name, an end date, and a start date. So the thing I was trying to do, oh, hang on. So there is an error though. Cannot read property ID. So apparently we do need an ID of some kind. That's going to be very annoying because at this moment you can't have a key that says ID. All right, so I forgot already. You can't have. So once it contains data, you cannot adjust the schema anymore. So what we'll do is maybe let's create another REPL and then call db delete all from competitions. And then we'll just run this, which will return because, yeah, nothing happened to that. And then if it updates, and it should update at some point. So I expected this table to be empty now because I did the delete thing. However, okay, there we go. Now it seems to be empty. So well, the thing I was trying to do is show you that this won't work. So it'll tell us the field name ID was reserved when IDs were implicit. We are transitioning to allow it, but we're not there yet. So sorry for that. So that means I can't directly use my view application just yet. So what we could do is make a transforming function, I guess, because this get all thing. So just returning get all from competitions is not something that I wanted. So that does make me wonder though whether or not a competition has an ID now, even though it would be explicit. So what we can do here is pipe to some map function. I've got no idea. A list map. Yeah, this is something that I want. So what we want to do is provide this with a function that maps a competition, which is going to have a name, a start date, and an end date. And then hopefully also have an ID. I'm not sure if this is going to work, in fact. So what I want to do is return a dictionary or something like this that has an ID of val.id. You don't have it, do you? Or maybe it does. So name, which is val.name, a start date, which is val.start date, and then an end date, which is val.end date. Let's try this out again. So by just replaying this, I can verify that this is what it looks like. I think we already can see it, that it's going to be null. Yeah, especially now since the database is empty. So what we'll try and do is repopulate this. So now it should have an entry. There we go. And then if we try and execute this again, no, still null. Now, I'm not sure how much I depend on the ID in my UI, so let's try this again. Apparently I do. So the thing I'm going to try and do instead is just try and generate a UUID. And then, so that thing, this is quite difficult. So what you need to do to inline this thing in, or to pipe this stuff, is to highlight something and then press Shift Enter or Option Enter. Was it Option Enter? No, it was Shift Enter. Okay. Because if you just press Shift Enter, you will start a new pipe at the beginning of the line. So that's something I needed to discover as well. So here we go. We've got a UUID generate, and then what we could do is just to string this, because it should be okay. So now if I rerun it, you'll see already that I will have an ID or some ID. Now the other thing is it might be, and it's just that I don't really remember all that much about my Effit UI application itself, is that ID might be the name or the competition ID that I gave it. Excuse me. So let's just find out if this is indeed what I wanted or not. All right, so maybe ID is not the one that I was trying to look for. All right, so debugging the UI now is going to have some issues. So let's see if do I have my, no, I don't even have it. Okay, so let's try and open. Let's try and open our project. In IntelliJ. Where did Suppose I put it again. See, the thing is, what I don't want to show you is work projects. So let's move them here. Maybe. Allez. And then I can open my original project for the challenge or the effort challenge. Let's do this window maybe, yeah. And then let's also close the other ones. And then we can actually put this thing here. And then what we can do is put this in presentation mode again. So the original project is built with Vue and then a Kotlin backend. So, and then the idea or that I had was to transform the backend from Kotlin into a backend in Dark. So what we need was the competition overview. And somewhere we use an ID. Oh, there we go. And then apparently, let's see, we have as a competitions thing that really does expect an ID indeed. And, no, a competition ID that has an ID. Okay, that makes things different, does it? Doesn't it? All right, so what we do have is another thing here. So now I'm not sure if I can do nested things here. So let's try that. So actually what I wanted was a competition ID. That is a new object that has this as an ID. Balls, mate. All right, so let's try this again. Okay, so I selected from back to front and then shift entered. That didn't work. And from front to back does seem to work. There we go. All right, now let's try it again. Let's get rid of this, refresh the page. There we go. Now we do have a working function, thank God. All right, so it's not showing it properly though. And that's probably because this thing is not an actual date time like JavaScript expected, but that's okay. I can deal with that later. At least we've got a returning get call. So the other thing I wanted to do was try and make a new competition. So let's say we put something like this here. We've got a testing dark competition that has a start and an end date. Let's put something in here like this. So now obviously this post is going to fail. Why? The executed program was invalid. This problem can be resolved by the application's author by resolving the invalid code, which is often a type error. So that's the error that we get from Dark. Then if we check the 404s, let's see. Allez. That's not there yet. I guess that was an error as 404. Yeah, it's not a 404 because I already have a handler listed for that, which is this post thing here. So the thing I was trying to do here was first make sure that we've got a valid competition that's being posted. And if not, I would return some kind of an error. So what I have here is eventually I want to set a new competition to the competitions table. And I think this cannot work, in fact, because the signature of db set doesn't take a UUID, but instead takes a string. So let's do string this. Or what we also could have done was used the, what's it called again? A db generate. Maybe we'll do that instead. I'm also wondering why it is that this thing is just stalling. Okay, so here we've got our original input, the thing that we just entered, in fact. We've got an end date, a start date, and then the name. Okay, and now we can see that this thing is indeed wrong. Why is that? Cannot run some parameters are incomplete. It seems that the valid competition is going to be complete, in fact, which is kind of weird. However, generate key seems to be the thing that's going wrong. Some parameters are incomplete. I wish I knew which one it was. So I hope it's not a valid competition. Click play. Okay, so it's still incomplete. And then I wonder what it is that makes it incomplete though. So this should be a dictionary object which contains a name, a start date, and an end date. Maybe I should click on this thing. So traces are not loaded for this handler. Why is that function called with an error as an argument? Wait, so is body an error? No. Let's go to the new competition function that I had here. And then I don't know why that is, but functions are like in a different view or the workspace. I don't know how you can call it. But then if you click on this thing again, you go back to your main thing. I guess it makes reading like one flow a little bit easier. Right, so let's go to new competition. What does this thing do, in fact? So we've got this most recent call. What does it do? We've got a body that was entered here. We pass it through a validate competition, which is yet another function, and then validate competition is supposed to return we don't know yet. So I sort of miss like a return or information about the function signature. I miss a return type here. All right, so what does this thing do? Let's pass through this thing again. Here we go. Now we can see already where this stuff is going wrong. I think the mistake here is that these are not dates indeed. So they're just strings. So the first thing I'll need to do is convert them into dates. All right, so what this validate competition function does is in fact return an error if the end date is before the start date, which we didn't end up in yet. But you cannot compare strings using a date function, or you cannot compare. So the thing I was trying to say is that the date smaller than function is still something that we want, but these end date things are not something that I want. So now what I think should happen, yeah, okay. So when we get start date from our dictionary, and I think, I'm not really sure, but I think I could also just go like this. Oh, if I could type in here. How do I show this? Other start date maybe. Comp to validate. Ah, there we go. So this, that should also be helpful. But I still want to pipe that into returning a date. So date from string parse. For example, representing a date and time. So I don't have time information though. I wonder. So now this thing highlights. But can we already see this? Okay, no, invalid date format. So the other thing that Dark tries to do is make development a little bit easier by just having your stuff compile even though it doesn't, or if it returns something erroneous, like in this case. So date parse would return a valid date if it would work, but returns a nothing, I think, if it doesn't. And that's where this error comes in. So if I manage to, so I think in this case, C start date is going to be a nothing type, like the functional type nothing. So I think what we could do here is just add stuff like this. Just add T0000 stuff. Maybe that'll fix it. I'm not sure, in fact. So pipe string append. There we go. Now I'm curious. Concatenates the two strings and returns the joined string. I'm not sure if the second string is going to be appended to the start date or vice versa. So what I want to have is be in the format of D000000 and then Z or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so now it's returned an OK, so so Dark automatically filled this in with the just case. So as if it weren't a just or a maybe type, it's just the value. And then I think what we need to do is do the same for end date. So let's try and do that. So we'll do this end date, and we'll pipe the same thing here. So we'll deal with that duplication later. There we go. So if C end date is less than or before start date, then we should return an error. Otherwise, we should return just this thing. And what I can do here as well, since everything else works that way, is comp to validate.name. There we go. So now this function should be returning successfully, hopefully. That's in fact what I can see here as well. All right. Oh, and now, okay. So now val is not a result, and this I don't understand. So what I think happened here is that validate competition, or this rail, an error rail thing, managed to just return the object itself. So in this case, what validate competition is returning is in fact like this competition that I built myself, having a name, an end date, and a start date, but then with an actual date and an actual start date, and not just a string is what I'm trying to say. Unless... Yeah, so we did have the parsed dates. The other thing I could do is just return the string versions of this. Maybe let's try and do that later. No, they really need to be dates, otherwise persisting it will go wrong. Okay. So I don't understand why this is incomplete now. Maybe if I click to execute it again. That I don't understand. Are not loaded yet. Here is a trace though, right? Expected Boolean but got error. Where is that? Yeah, we don't need to mind these requests. They were all something different. But so here is where the trace stops being helpful, I guess. Maybe if I just go back one level and then replay it here. Some parameters are incomplete. So I did want to maybe let's do it like this then. How to make it recognize that it is in fact help. The other thing I expected here was that new competition would be something I could click on, but it's not. So let's check again. New competition. I didn't misspell it. It takes one argument, which is a dictionary, I guess. And here I could run this, and that's the thing I think is so weird about it. Because here I do have the trace. Maybe you can only do that if you complete the full path or something. I don't know, actually. Got error. Maybe there's a console error in here. I think there is one. Let's hide them all or something again. Clear console. Let's just run it again. Nope. You see, the other thing that's worrying for me is that this function exists, yet there isn't any... Okay, I don't understand any of these things, in fact. Presence. It looks like this new competition function is something that was... that needs to go or something, I don't know. Because I would have expected that this handler would also have an endpoint here. But I can see I can see in fact that this, if I click here, okay. Okay, so I did expect there to be a thing there that said new competition, but there isn't. Okay, the thing I'm going to try and do is copy this part and then just directly put it in the handler, this post handler. Yeah, maybe not do this. Just return result, I guess. Okay, let's try it again. I don't know why the traces are not loaded for this handler. But let's try it again. Because here, aren't these the traces? Okay. Now we've got something different. So fiddling with these things sort of reset the thing. Okay, so what do we have here? Actual type is a result, but they expected a dictionary. So that makes no sense to me. Maybe what we'll do is move this, in fact, to the handler. So we'll remove this. Then we'll put that here, since that's the thing that we want there to actually save. So like this. There we go. And then this can be removed. And now something is running. Hopefully. See, and I don't know what's going on now. I think this doesn't need to be there. String. Yeah. Let's try the magic. No. So now I wonder what is indeed incomplete. Oh, you already get the result apparently. So transform a result using f, so that's the function block, only if the result isn't okay. If an error, it doesn't do anything. So that means that we should be able to just do this. And get rid of all of this, in fact. Don't write a match, and then just write with val. Alright, now I understand. So map also returns what? What exactly? So that I don't know. I guess it's this thing that it returns. So maybe we can just HTTP respond with JSON, and then we'll put the valid competition in there with a 201 or something. Okay, now we rerun it. Ho. Okay, this looks promising. So let's try and in fact create a competition again, because I don't think, ooh, maybe it's already in there though now, since I retried it, and then I think, you know, we can just view that by just, oh, there's multiple ones. So you do need to be careful replaying those things just when you're writing code. All right, so the other thing I didn't really mention yet is that the instant you write code, it's already deployed, hence the deployless nature of Dark. It's supposed to save you a lot of time, and I think that will indeed work that way. But there are some thoughts I'm having that I can't fully express right now. So maybe we'll keep that for a later day. So that means also, ooh, let's see if I try and create a competition, invalid competition, having an end date before a start date. So we do get a 404, a 404. That's weird. Why is it a 404? So was it, no wait, I need to look at this. So a post to API/competition, which should work because I have a handler for that. It's right here. Maybe it was just a default thing or something. Here we go. Error rail. End date cannot be before start date. So that's in fact the exact thing that I returned from my validate competition thing. So it does seem that the default happens to be a 404 here. So I expected a 500 if it's still on the error rail. Okay. So now we need to figure out how to handle an error. And I wonder, so if map returned the result itself, right? So I guess what we should do is result error, map error, and then just return the message. So here we've got, hang on again, so map error, transform a result on the error portion of the result. If okay, it doesn't do anything, so it will just fall through. So here I think we should have, yeah. So we can't just return this anymore. I think what I need to do now is move this into the map function and then have map error return an invalid, a bad request. There you go. With val as an error, I guess. But so we need to do. I'm not sure if they already have function composition, because the thing I was thinking about is what you could do here is extract this into a function. We could also extract this into a function. And what we would be doing then is returning, in fact, or not. I'm not sure if set returns anything. Yeah, so we need to go back to this request to see the correct result. So if validation does happen, I think. So I think set does return the created object. So okay, let's try. Okay, I hope I can do it correctly. So let's try this and then call it extract function. I don't know what to do now. Why is that highlighted? So this is actually save. I'm not sure if I'm renaming it now. I guess I'm not. Shit. I made a boo-boo. I'm sorry. This one. Okay, let's try renaming it like this. Save competition. Oh no. No input parameters. That's not what I wanted. Oh dear. No, and there was no rename here. Create competition? Or create and save? No, save competition. Ah, okay. Ah, there we go. Okay, that works. Okay, and then what I can do is pipe that here. So this can go. Then I need this to be piped into that. Or I'm not sure how this will work, in fact. No. No. Okay, there's no redo. There must be. Let's check the keyboard mapping. Redo, redo, redo. Okay, there is one, but that's the thing I was pressing. It has no effect. So what if I pipe it into this thing? So pipe the result of save competition into a lambda that has this, and then it should be just val. Yeah. Oh. That would mean that map is not returning anything, and that's not what I wanted. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. How the hell do I handle that request then? So now I want the git revert feature. Dang it. I want to say restore to my previous version of this thing, but I guess what I needed to have done is created a new handler that sort of looked the same. Ugh. So let's just do Command Z until we return into a working state again. Ah, wait, hang on. I'm silly. Let's get rid of that. So what I think that this returns only the result, only if the result isn't okay. But so I still have, see, okay, I have an okay, so it's a result type. That means I can now I can just remap this, right? Map it into, if it's an okay with a valid competition, then I can return HTTP respond with JSON with val and a 201 and a or not, because it's still a mapping function. I don't actually want a mapping function. Maybe I should just match this then. Okay, delete the entire line, please. There we go. So let's match valid competition. If it's an okay with val, I guess, then just do this bit. No, I don't want this anymore. Oh, respond with JSON val 201, and then otherwise we'll have an error with a message, and I want to bad request. Return this message. That should do it. And now I think we did handle the error case, huh? Right? Okay, take it off the rail. How do I do that? There we go. Okay, now if I return this, we get the 400. Okay, let's see. That was some fucking around though, but let's see if I were to retry this. Oh, we do get a 400. And the response contains end date cannot be before start date. Now, there was something that I had somewhere, like if error messages show up, I forget how I did that stuff, in fact. So let's find out. Was in here, right? Okay. Okay, so it should have a message thing. Show error. Okay. Right, so let's try that instead. So bad request should not just have a message, but it should have a tick that has a message containing message, which should get piped. No. Oh my god, I just want this. Thank you. Shift enter. All right. and then to JSON. There we go. Maybe there's also a bad request with JSON or something. Nope. Okay, that could be a helpful thing. Will it run? Let's find out. Let's clear this again. Submit. You guys. Great success. All right. That deals with that case, I guess. Let's try and do some refactoring. Because of course, validating a competition. Oh, actually, yeah, wait, no, this is already okay. So I have it's not just a valid competition, in fact, it's a saved competition. Or maybe saved, so it's not actually. It's the result of trying to validate and save a competition. That's it. Okay. Okay, so maybe what I do want to do is put this into a function. Let's call it respond or bad request with JSON. Yeah. Bad. Oh man. Okay, so the thing I expected to happen here is to be able to rename this function the moment I created it, but that's not the case. So let's just do it the other way then. This should be called bad request with message, error message, something like that. So this is specifically to my my case though, right? Because I agree that this is the way that I should be returning error messages. Okay. And then this part is a little bit weird. So maybe save competition can be this mapping thing itself. So now I'm not sure. So let's first check out validate competition, which does have a thing here. So comp to validate, which is a dict. And then I can get rid of this, right? Or not. Save competition. And then let's move into save competition. Give it a parameter called competition or something. Then we'll get rid of this, hopefully. Or not. Oh my god. I've got something in my hold on. Okay, this is like sort of the thing I wanted to copy. Now, how do I get rid of? Okay, there we go. Let's paste again. And then what I want to do is I want to map Oh, it's not a dict, in fact. It's a result containing a dict. Sorry, what? No. Okay. I don't understand why. I do not understand why. So you can return result types, but you cannot have them as arguments. Is that because they want to force handling them at the place that they're called? So the designers of the language is what I mean when I say they. Where's my post? Somewhere is my post. Here we go. Cha. Okay, maybe the other way of naming something is like this. So let's try save competition, which is a lambda. And in this case, we can in fact use result map, I think. Because val is just an any type, I guess. I'm not sure, in fact. And then if I were to call it here, this would work. Yeah, okay, I guess not entirely, right? Let's rename this to comp to save. And then this can be put into okay. I want to pipe this comp to save thing. And this is the block. No, val. Let's try this. Some parameters are incomplete. Maybe you can't have it on the same line or something. I'm not really sure. I miss again like a way to return to like another state. Also, I'm not really sure what's going on now, in fact. Can you put this on a new line? No. Okay, so I guess what I want to do then is do this. Nee, too much. Oh no. Dang it. I just want this part. Okay. I want to save comp to save. And then this should become that, I hope. So I don't understand. Oh yeah, no, it should be working. Which is a function that takes in this case, a competition to save, and returns the result of this db set call. Now do I have to take it off the rails again or something? Allee. Which one is it? Body invalid competition, yeah. Oh, now it's failed again. And okay. It's on the error rail, meaning this returns an end date cannot be before. That's correct. So that's why you won't be able to enter this thing. But I don't understand why I can't. Some parameters are incomplete. Ah, that's because my current trail doesn't, or my current trace does not deal with a normal case. This one was a normal case. So all right. Now, did I refactor something nice? I don't think I did, in fact. So I wish I could have put this into like a separate function. Ah, actually I can. Save competition should be this. And I think I already have a save competition, yeah. So let's first delete this or something. How do you do that? There you go, get rid of this crap. How do you delete a function? I keep on trying to drag this stuff, but it doesn't work. Well, it's gonna have to contain this thing in any case. Okay, let's try it again. So I want this to happen, and then comp to save is going to be a new parameter, which is going to be a dictionary then. Oh, you can pass along in any type. I just saw that. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Now I can make this into a result map where nope, confused. No, in fact, wacht hè. It should remain this, and then I can reference this function. All right. Ah, nee, okay, now I remember what I want to do. So I want to return comp to save. I want to pipe this into result map. And I want this thing to be like that. That's what I want. And now I'm unsure if this works. So I could pipe this into it's just save competition. No, yeah, save competition, the function, not this thing here. Now you lose type information. And suddenly it's not an error anymore. Oh. Nope. All right, I also made a competition record type, which I never ended up using. Okay, so this doesn't work either. Let's just revert into using this thing again then. And that means I can't use map anymore, but I can use... Why do you delete so much? Here, that's all of it. Okay. Now let's go back here. And then let's do result. It does not allow me to type there. And now it doesn't recognize the result map thing anymore. Is that because I'm in a valid case here? Yeah, I think so. Invalid. Male. Okay, so, okay. Expected to see a value of type dict but found a result. Yeah, I wanted to have... No, you ass. Oh, damn. This is the wrong thing. I want result map with this. Okay, let's fuck with this thing again. Okay, so, okay. I think it's okay now. Jesus. Okay, so now this seems to make a little bit more sense to me in the fact that I'm trying to parse the body or whatever that was passed into the post. I want to make sure that it's a valid competition. Then when it's a valid competition, I want to save it. And then I'll deal with handling error output or not. Okay. I think this finally makes a little bit more sense to me. Now I wish I could see what I had before so I could compare if it's actually better, but yeah, I hope it is. Okie dokie. I'm also still wondering how I want to visualize this schema. I mean, or all of these components. So these, they're just not used. They should be deleted at some point. Then we've got meaningless gets. Like meaningless. Dealing with just displaying the front end part of the application. And then that's how I envisioned it before, is you've got like all of the requests you could do. For example, getting a competition is seemingly the first thing I should do. But maybe, so the idea was to put these things here, then will be the next level of like domain or whatever, and then the database. And in fact, all of these REPLs, they should be in front of it. Because they follow application flow like this. But now I wonder if I should represent it like that, so that I can then make it a more top-down thing, you know. And that means these REPLs will end up at the top. Well, actually, these specifically belong closer to the database, so maybe let's just keep them there. Okay, and now the thing I wanted to do was, so we've got our thing set up completely. So there are some other validations for a competition, which should now be a jiffy to complete or to finalize. No, why? What happened? What? No. I moved it around and save competition disappeared. What? Oh yeah. Okay, so you cannot use... Okay, then that must mean that save competition needs to be a higher order function that returns a lambda that has a... And now I can't enter lines here. And now defaults to let's. Nope. Okay, let's get rid of this then. Get rid of this too. And then it should return a comp to save with this. There you go. I wish I could click this so that it can then... Oh yeah. This is the invalid case, huh? Okay. Where's the valid one? Maybe you can only take it off the rails with invalid. No, okay, and I don't know. Take function off rail. I want to. Oh, okay. Okay, so selecting the entire line. Okay. Okay, so now I think we're in a valid state again. Okie dokie. Right, so the thing I was saying is that validate competition. Now we can really just chain multiple functions. So this in fact should be the what's it called? So validate start date, not after end date function or something like this. This kind of validation. Oh, hey Lumi, looks like the structural editor isn't all that intuitive to use. I would agree, yeah. Yeah, I think the reason why is because you just expect it seems like it's just a code window, but you can't do anything you would normally do with a code window. So I also don't really understand the reason why. But yeah, maybe take that up with the creator. Hey, first I'm going to turn on some lights because it's getting quite dark in, yeah, no pun intended, sorry. Be right back. That should be a bit better. You used MPS a while back, and they put in a lot of work to make it decent, but there are so many special rules and a bunch of complexity. I don't know what the MPS is actually. Okay, so I think what we have here is we've got competitions. Ah, yeah. So what we did, or what happened here, was we tried going to this ID and it doesn't exist. That's because indeed that ID should not exist, because it's not a generated UUID, in fact. It's the competition ID. Where was that? So I suppose it's in here. No, I think, damn it, so validate does more. No? Ah, no, this is not enough, I think. This is annoying as well, because so this part now partly creates a valid competition, but only for a little part. It's not finished yet. It has real dates now. I wonder. Metaprogramming system from JetBrains. I don't know it. Is it worth checking out? So let's see how I implemented like creating a competition command handler. Oh yeah, we had this creator here, and this creator has a create competition, which is a thing that has what? Does it already have the ID? It has a name. Null or blank, you cannot create. Length longer than 25, cannot create. And then here's some start and end date validation stuff. But then there was another part though. So these are some defaults, in fact. But in here, we've got yet another thing where if you... Here we go, competition identity. So this thing's trying to be created from the name. So competition ID, if you give it a string, then there's some stuff that happens here. I'm not interested in implementing all of this crap. So I think for now, I'll just make sure that the backend in DarkLang returns as a competition ID just a thing with a name. So it will have a name and then also a competition ID having the name. There we go. There we go. And then this thing is gonna end up being pushed into save competition. Weird. Ah, wait, new competition. This thing is not used anymore. I should really try and remove it, in fact. How do you do that? Kill it with fire. So go to save competition here. This thing. Okay, now competitions needs to have a competition ID field, which I cannot give it because there are already competitions. So let's kill them all. Allez, refresh, you bastard. Ah, there we go. Let's add competition ID, which is just, no, it's, no. God. Oh no, and I cannot specify that competition ID in fact has an ID. Or, yeah, I think I'm screwed. So in my validate competition thing, this should be wrap in a dict. Somehow I can't add it. Ah, there we go. Sich. Okay. Yeah. And then somehow it forgot that comp to validate has a name. The weirdest. Some more chats. Oof. Sorry, I missed all of your chat, man. There's also JetBrains Data Lore, a newer web-based thing for data analysis. Uses their web-based replica of the structural editor. Yeah, but it's not configurable like an NPS where you can create your own languages. Wow. These tools are kind of really big hammers, so they are only really useful if you have the need for a domain-specific language that has good usability and maybe even used by domain experts and not developers. Okay. The point is that people have used it in the past to build something just like DarkLang in it, so it's nothing new. I guess maybe I really don't know what really is the idea of DarkLang. I mean, language-wise, or like their vision. However, I do know, or think to know, that they have, or that they're writing all of their stuff in Objective-Camel. So I think if we go to man, it's like tablecloth or something. Maybe it's going to be DarkLang tablecloth. Yeah, there we go. So, or maybe it's not really this. At least it supports whatever they're using to build their platform, in fact. Here we go. But yeah, so that's about most of the specifics I know about it. So I don't really know if they use this to build their platform, or if this, of whatever you write in here, gets parsed through tablecloth. Seen a few ideas like version coding, hot reloading, structural editor, and a dev tooling, and it looks to be an Elm-like type system. Yeah, it's an ML-like type system indeed. But they don't have how do you call that? Like, they don't have all of those features in the language or in your editor, for example. So you cannot use types. They had that feature in there, and then the way you, so this thing wasn't even visible anymore. The only way you could do that was by doing something like this, and then pressing the Option X shortcut, and then do create type, and that enabled this thing again for me. I can't even make this go away now. Shit. Oh, there we go. Yeah. But so I think what we're doing now is we are in fact saving competition IDs, which is a dictionary, which should be, and I don't know the difference between these things. It's a list of dictionaries, of course. And the other thing is it doesn't allow you to persist your own types here. So yeah, there's that. They worked 80 years on their web-based structural editor before they released data lore. Ooh, 8 years. Yeah, indeed, I feel those limitations as well. But I mean, yeah, I don't really, I can't say that I'm ready to form an opinion just yet. There are some things that I like. like not having to deploy. But then again, there's also a bunch of stuff like I can't write tests, so I can't document how something is supposed to work. For example, validate competition now. It's only because I noticed that we're really not just validating, we're also returning a new type. And I think if I unit tested this, I would have faster run into this issue, clean code issue, I guess. Oh, some bad news for Dark. If you look back, people have tried this stuff many times since the 80s, and all of them failed for general purpose use cases. Yeah, the thing I'm afraid of is that it will only support an active record type of system. Meaning you cannot have a rich domain, since the thing that you're pushing through the REST API is something that you're going to be saving in the backend. But that's not necessarily true, right? And then the entire reason that we're doing that is so that we can make changes to our domain without impacting or having to impact the front end. Or persistence layer for that matter. But I still wanted to show you guys this thing. No, so it's right. So if I click on nothing anymore, what was it that I wanted to continue doing something? Test compo, I don't know. Let's create one. So the next thing that should pop up is this add challenges thing. Oh, and we do get an undefined thing back, so that's also pretty bad. That's also weird though. Okay, let's do the last request. So this is fun, I think. The fact that you can immediately see whatever the request was, and then also the response, which is apparently incomplete. Did not expect this to be incomplete, in fact. Allez, fucking drag it. Drag it somewhere. Okay. And now I don't know why I expected 0 arguments but got 1. I guess there must have been something wrong in some other part. Maybe this validate competition thing. Oh yeah, I shouldn't have added a space there. That's probably the problem. Let's do cancel. Let's create a new competition that says test compo without spaces. Okay, still an issue. Still doing undefined. Let's go back. All right, here's the new one. And then why? So here it seems like it's normal. It has a competition ID, and competition ID has an ID itself. Ah yeah, I was doing some generation stuff somewhere, right? So let's do validate competition. We come out of this thing, then we end up into save competition. Save competition does what? It saves this competition in there. Ooh, and then there's an error here apparently. Cannot run why is it incomplete? So that part works, this does not. Right, so I guess there's an issue here in that you can't really resolve what is being passed here, maybe. Maybe that's the issue. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Okay, so let's try and inline it. Is there a way? Maybe there's a shortcut for that. Inline. So I expected a burger menu here maybe, and then have it do inline. So, which one is incomplete? So now it does work. And then it returns a saved competition having a competition ID with an ID. And I think that was the way we expected it to be set up, right? Like having a competition ID. I already forgot. Let's go back here. So here is the overview. Yeah, should have a competition ID and then an ID. Okay, cool. Which is just the name. All right, cool. So let's try that again. So this was the latest one, I believe. We've got a 404. No, wait, it should be this one. So here, what was returned was something that has a competition ID containing an ID. And then an end date, name, start date, and whatever's. And then, so let's find out what happens if you press the submit button. Yeah, you're supposed to visit this thing. But so I don't understand why it's undefined. Wait, I am not very smart, am I? So this is the overview and I wanted the create competition, of course. So create competition. There's a submit. And then in our submit. Okay. So I expected a successfully created competition ID in the return type in the location. Okay. That's on me, I guess. Oh dear. See, now I want to try. Okay, where's the REPL? Because I just want to figure out something about respond with. So I want the combination of a headers and a JSON. And then this thing returns a response with headers. Ah, there we go. So what I really need to do is this one instead of JSON, and then set a location. So it should be something like, yeah, maybe I could just write it. Respond with headers. So this can be like the competition thing, name, blah, blah. And then the headers is going to be something that looks like this. Location with the generated competition ID. So comp name and then 201 again. So this is what should be here. So headers of so no, this is code, and then this should be location val dot competition ID dot ID, I guess. That's where it can find it. Okay, cool. Let's find out if this is going to work. Yeah, it should be, yeah. All right. Get rid of these. Create yet another thing. Okay. All right, so now at least we've got the correct URL, right? So we've got a 404 being returned by /competition/test-compo and then add challenges. So, which is kind of weird that we're trying to execute add challenges already. I wonder why that is, in fact. Oh, there aren't any selected challenges. I think this, no, now I remember. So I reused this create competition view, I think. Because let's see where selected challenges is. This dot challenges filter. So I think I reused this in this host again thing, yeah. So create competition is both the view for if you click on host again, it will show you a list of challenges. So in this case, it tries to could be an optimization thing where I don't try to do this when there aren't any challenges. So I think for now it's fine that there aren't any challenges. So maybe what I should do is just return a 200 for add challenges for now. So let's do that. Let's get rid of this one. Ah yeah, and then this is the feature I wanted to show, in fact. I've had no sleep and I'm drinking a can of coffee that has the caffeine equivalent of 2 coffees. I hope you don't need to sleep, friend. Otherwise that will be detrimental to your health. Aha! So, this is a cool little thing. So, Dark records whatever 404s happened with their body and everything, so that you can then smartly create a new handler for it. So this was a request that was that I just made, in fact, with an empty body, so empty challenges, no cookies whatsoever, and then this URL. So this is in fact the thing I wanted to do, but maybe I don't want to put it there, but like at a later stage, like here somewhere. And then the other thing I can do is, instead of a hard-coded competition ID, So hopefully this will work. Need to fix your sleep schedule somehow. Caffeine makes you more tired eventually because it exhausts you. How good is that website? Yo, it's the best website, my friend. It's the best. No, I don't know. Just trying to figure it out. See where we get. We've already noticed that the editor can be annoying because we're used to being more free in writing code, and here you're supposed to follow a streamlined process a little bit more. But that's something we can deal with, right? All right, so here we've got an incomplete request. What do I want to do is really just return a response with nothing at all. Maybe there's another way. Respond with. Yeah, I mean, nothing. Just a nothing. Is that a thing? And then a 200. You did a good job. Something like that. Cool. All right, so let's clear this again. Create yet another test compo. Aha. A new 404 pops up. Which one is it this time? So there appear to be 2 requests in a row. I don't know why it's 2 of them, but it's the same one. Namely, we want to get the details of a test compo competition. So right now we should have another get. Let's create this one too. Let's just try and follow the normal flow here. Whoops. Again, should be competition ID. And here we really just want to return db get or something like find. Is there a find? Query. 1. And it returns an option. Let's just read the docs. Fetch exactly 1 value from table, which have the same fields and values that spec has. Okay, right. So it's like a criteria thing. If there is exactly 1 key value pair, it returns just the object. And if there is none or more than 1, it returns nothing. Okay, maybe what does get do? By the ID or something? What? I failed to see the difference. So here we expect a string. And here they expect a dictionary. So maybe we should do this one. I don't know what the with key thing is. Same fields and values. You know what? Let's just try it out. And then the spec should be having a competition ID that has another dict that has an ID field filled in with competition ID. And we want to get it out of the competitions table. Nothing, we didn't get anything. I wonder why. I don't understand why this is incomplete. Okay, what we could do instead of searching for the competition ID is just searching for the name, which is supposed to be the same anyway. Let's try this. Oh, maybe we actually have multiple values now. My database tables. It's right here. Latest entries. No, let's get them all, baby. I guess we can reuse this one since I won't be creating another one. Get all from the competition. There we go. So there's only one test compo too, eh? Multiple test compos. And here our request says fetch one with okay, competition ID seems to be incomplete, or weirdly enough. Why is that? Why is it incomplete? Ah, there you go. Test compo 2. Okay, let's try this out again. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we've returned this thing now, and I'm not really sure. We just return this JSON, which might be fine enough. Let's find out. So let's try to go to the test compo 2 competition page. Oh. What is problem? Oh no. Now I am really confused. BT dubs. As for structural editors, the only ones I have seen work flawlessly had a Lisp syntax with tools such as PA bar edit. I don't know. Once you add any kind of complicated grammar, they become inherently unintuitive. And why is that? Because too many braces or something? I don't know. Okay, so somehow competition ID. Oh no. Oh noes. So here in the overview, when you click on a thing, competition ID.id is returned. So if we go here, we go there, we do inspect. I cannot inspect, in fact. Is there a view thing? I do not have the plugin. Damn right, it's not. Here. Yeah, it's in production mode. That's right. Lulz. Lisp grammar is really simple and you can define structural stuff unambiguously quite easily. Once you get into grammars with infix, prefix, tabular views, etc., you end up with a lot of ambiguity for movement. Oh, I see. Yeah, so in practice, all this ambiguity usually requires custom tuning given the situation. Yeah, I mean, fair points. Fair points indeed. In the meanwhile, I wonder where this thing comes from, because so if I click on this, Vue.js is trying to make calls to the actual ID, which I thought I didn't have. But since I just pass, how does it work again? Oh, you know what? Maybe it's at a later stage. I think it might be at a later stage, in fact. So let's check out the detail, competition detail. Yeah. Competition ID. No, but that's being passed, so it shouldn't be. It's okay. See? Let's get back here. So when I'm on the all competitions page, I build these links in the table that when you click on them, they should navigate using Vue's router to /competitions/ and then the competition ID.id, which we know is entered or populated with get competition. Oh, okay, my bad. This is where that code was at. So let's get rid of this. So that should be val.compet. Yo. Why would it only recognize this? Oh, later stage, maybe here? Yeah, okay. Let's try again. Try again, we shall. Get rid of all the requests. Aha! Small victory, yet again. Okay, I mean, we can see where this is going, right? Oh, more input from Lumi. LumiLead. The thing with structural editors is that they allow you to give individual pieces in the editor an identity like an object in object-oriented programming, so you can associate extra metadata with it. It's a lot harder to do if you have a textual representation and need to parse. Yeah. Lumi, can I ask about your background? Where do you work? What sort of work do you do? And while I ask that question, let's try and add a new competitor. Favorite test person, Snarf. All right, so once again, we should have a 404 containing. Yeah, so now there's an issue because I don't know which one this is, in fact. I know I want to get rid of this one. Maybe if I expand it. Okay, I know for sure that I don't need any of these. And let's create this one. Here we go. Let's move it all the way. I said all the way. Here. There we go. Okie dokie. So this... No, just let me double click this so I can select... Oh my lord. So I can select it. Competition ID. There we go. Oh, you work in Clojure doing mostly business apps, but you play with a lot of diverse, interesting stuff in your free time. You build Clojure. I mean, you build business apps in Clojure. Epic. Is there like how much is there an idiomatic Clojure thing happening in the Clojure community? I know it used to be like that in Scala. Actually, main reason why I don't Scala anymore. Resorted to Kotlin for that. Okay, so here we go. We've got a post for. Now this makes me wonder as well, like if you look at this one, it clearly makes a distinction between HTTP GET and then the URL, and here not so much anymore. Now I don't know why that is. All right, but if we were to add a competitor, how would that work? Oh boy. How do you do joins? How do you make relations in this thing? So do we make a competitors thing? Can you do a reference? Is it supposed to be that kind of thing, or? And then the moment you use dictionaries, you lose informative type safety, and you only depend on the dynamic input of your traces. Where's the panic button? I don't have a panic button. Okay, so I was just thinking out loud, but I probably skipped a bunch of steps. So, if we are going to try and add competitors now, I want competitors to be able to be only added to an existing competition, right? So one way to do that is to set up relational databases or tables and have, let's say that this is competitors. So competitors should have, I guess, a foreign key to, yeah, really, let's call it that. Foreign key to its competition or something. Competition ID, which should be a string. And then a competitor will have a name, which is also a string. Right? Now there's no way, wait, let's try that again. There's no way to infect oh dear. To reference this other competitions table here, or the other way around. So if you cannot do it like this, then okay, let's create another, okay, never mind. Let's make this into competitions v2. I cannot do that. So I still need to look up, okay, maybe competitions v2. This will then have a name, which is a string. Oh boy. So the order doesn't matter, but end date, I don't care. It's just for example's sake. Then have a competition ID, I guess, which is a dictionary as well. And then we would also have a competitor, or competitors actually, which is going to be a list of dictionary objects of which you cannot specify the type. So in that case, adding a competitor to a competition would be something like db. So it said upsert, that was a set. Maybe there's a different way to do that. So it is a set accessible by key. So wait, no, let's do it the other way around. So let's create a let existing comp is db get single or query. Yeah. So now we can already see the duplication, right? One with exact fields where we say its name should be competition ID. We'll take it out of the competitions v2 thing. And then what we could do is db set, I guess this existing comps ID. That doesn't even work. Maybe it's not query one with exact fields. Maybe it's query with key or something. And then maybe yeah, I don't know, key existing comp in competitions v2 as well. And then we would add competitors, which is a list of the object that was passed along here. So that would be request.body. So it's something like this, but in that case, we have only the type of a competitor in here, and it's not in the database. I mean, it's not visible in the database. So then we're back to, you want layers in between your REST endpoints and saving it in a database. But then we don't have a good type system yet to make sure that we don't make mistakes. Yeah, okay. I think I'm concluding a little bit that I'm not ready to use Dark yet. And I'm really sad about that because it was very promising. Okay, I have to think about how to put this in feedback. I also wonder how the other guys and girls are doing it. Like dealing with this stuff. I should maybe look at more examples. I am sort of in uncharted territory here for myself because I'm used to, or well, my expectation was that there was more type safe system in fact, but there is not, or at least not yet. Lumi answered. Clojure is highly biased towards simplicity, immutable functional programming and interactive programming, but it being a Lisp, it really is made to be really flexible if you need that flexibility. Of course, any dynamic language requires a lot more style because that's how you communicate. Yeah, that's true. I guess it depends on what you mean by idiomatic. Also true. yeah, I guess the thing that or that I experienced with Scala was that you could do things in multiple ways and they would all be fine, but there was the idiomatic way, which would lean more to the functional programming aspects of Scala, I guess, and I guess there was sort of the same issue with Clojure. But then maybe not, because I don't remember how the Java interoperability works. Because in Scala you can just write Java and it would compile, I guess. All right, listen, I'm gonna grab something to eat, and I think I'm going to call this experiment as done, in fact. Yeah. So the last thing I'll do is formulate some proper feedback for the DarkLang people and put it in the Slack. Yeah. It's going to be difficult organizing my thoughts that way. Because, you know, I mean, one part of this is the learning curve, for sure. The other part is the editor not behaving as expected. Another thing is the lack of types, maybe especially in the database. I'm not really sure. It depends on how they, like what their strategy or vision is. And the things I really liked was doing this part. It makes it so explicit. Like, if you do this, you can definitely just see it, like what you're supposed to code. Same for doing it with a REPL. Things I'm struggling with are, I guess, mainly the editor and the fact that you cannot pass along result types to functions, but that might have a reason. And then also the fact that you cannot use functions. So you cannot just replace this with a function, because then you lose your trace functionality, which is something that you need for the whole thing to compile. And that's about it, I think. That's that's about it. I mean, if you have to add all of these things, like the negative points, I guess, up with the fact that you still also need to make sure that if you're going to use this in production, that you do not break anything. That also means you need to inject like A/B testing kinds of like an experimentation library where you route some requests to your new code and some of them to your old code, for example, like while you're testing stuff. And that makes it quite difficult, I think, to be able to adopt this this style. I think it's pretty good for just doing active record stuff. Oh, and I'm not sure if I like the rail, like error rail feature or not, because it sort of makes you think that your code is fine when it's not fine. Enter the meme. That's about all I think I have. Yeah. All right. Anything to learn from this? Yes. Did you end up hearing the last bit I said, because that was basically my conclusion? If not, I'm willing to repeat. Or maybe you mean like the paradigm thing, deployless. What is there to learn? Heard it-ish. Oh boy. For me, I'm not ready to use it for production code yet, because there's too much, I guess, negative points about it. Yeah, that's it basically for me. You can do deployless easily in Clojure. Oh boy. I've got a colleague that's very much into Clojure. REPL into production and hot swap. Okay. Should give that a look as well then, because then you do have a type safe system. A good thing, yeah, indeed. But at least you'll have like an external environment where you can first try out stuff, and then when you're ready to deploy, you do that, I guess. But then, yeah, in between you can... No, I don't think it's a good idea, in fact. Anything you learned from this language and could maybe use in other systems or patterns to harvest? I'm afraid not. The language itself looks a lot like Elm, and I think I already learned a bunch of patterns out of Elm and functional programming, so I mean, this syntax is nothing new there. So there's no real patterns to harvest there. Yeah, no, so not really actually. I wouldn't say that it's been a waste, so I can already hear myself thinking like maybe this was wasteful. But I don't think so. I mean, experimentation always comes with the risk, eh? So... Does DarkLang actually have any docs, like a list of all the functions in it? Well, yes, but it's a closed beta for now. And oh, wait, so maybe I should just click on this docs thing here. And then we'll end up here. And it's got a bunch of example canvases. So a canvas is like a workspace. This is the one for my Effet tryout application. Language functions, you can look at it like this. So this is like library functionality, but it sort of misses, how do you call that? Like the way of doing things, maybe. I'm not really sure what I want to express. So what else is there? Maybe like tutorials, building a backend thing. Here they also start off by hosting their assets, which I already did last week. And then they showcase, maybe there's a better place to do that though, like the trace driven development thing. So which we already, I also showed that, right? So we had a 404 in our UI. I looked at these 404s that were here, and I started creating things from it, or like handlers, I mean, in my canvas. So that works pretty nice. But so, here, more information on data stores is here. And then it's a Google Doc. Okay, maybe it's beta, so... I don't know if it's a document store. I think it is, because you can enter dictionaries in there. However, I am not sure. References between database. This is the fact that this is the thing I was looking for. Dark employees and their pets. You just keep keys. Okay, yeah. Alright, this is what I already did as well. You can also copy and make a new differently named data store to make changes. Type and DB migrations are coming. Requests or inputs, let us know. Alright, so let's visit this example canvas that showcases two data stores. We've got people and we've got pets. But so they are indeed just strings, apparently. And then this is how you add pets or add a person. So to add a person, you would... Oh, empty list, okay. And then adding a pet. And then you reference the owner by name. Okay. Yeah, so you first, you know, this is it basically, right? It's very low level. No relational queries. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. No type safety. Yeah. Reducing complexity and making it simple. Well, I guess the complexity that you reduce is that of deploying your application, I guess. But it's please keep in mind, it's still in private beta, right? So we don't really know what it's going to end up looking like in the future, I guess. But I really hope that they add a lot of type safety stuff to it, because that'll make it so much more dependable. Like, I cannot imagine deploying something, or let alone changing something directly in production without having either tests or a type system. I just can't. Yeah, the first announcement was indeed earlier this year. Yeah. Yeah, if you say from your experience that it took 8 years to get something working out of, I don't remember what exactly the example was that you gave, but yeah, it's going to probably take a while. So here they do showcase like just saving into a very simple database, like a table, and then also setting up some integration with Slack or Twilio or something. And I mean, it works fine for smaller applications like this, I guess, but at the moment you have relational stuff to do, I guess you need to manage all of that stuff yourself. So the database data stores actually the user types, or can you do more? So I guess yes and no. What they did was they removed types, because let me look up what the actual thing was that they said. All right, so officially there was, but you couldn't use them for anything, so we pulled it out. That was the feedback or the reply that I got earlier. And then they asked why or like what the case was that I need types for. So I tried explaining that a little bit. But in any case, I haven't found out how you can actually do more. So where I wanted that was in this validate competition thing. So there was a function and it takes in a dictionary. So ideally, I already wanted this to be something that I knew had, compile-wise had a name and an end date, etc., etc. And then it would return something like this as well. So not just return a record or a dictionary, but instead a type that has all of these things. But I cannot, for the life of me, you can you can create a type, but you cannot have a constructor for it, for example. So you need to create that thing yourself. And then again, like all of the rest doesn't even work with the types that you created yourself. So for example, you cannot say to a database, for example here, let's say I wanted to, if it's still a competitor, I cannot select my own type. Even though creating your type is dependent on all of these things. Right, you can only choose these types that are available in the DarkLang to create your own type. So why are you not able to do that? Like add your own type here? Because you can add a dictionary. So it doesn't make much sense to me, in fact. That would make this into a document store, right? But yeah. Cannot name the types nor compose types. Yeah, you can't also composing functions you cannot do. I'm not sure if that's something that they'll end up adding. Let's see this thing here, the functional aspects. So we've got implicit returns, we've got pipelines. But there's no way to compose functions. And then if you, the other thing you cannot do is use functions as arguments. I mean, you can, but then you lose your trace stuff. And then I still wanted to get back to that not being able to use your own types. I said if I was in my validate function thingamajig. So somehow still this thing knows that it has a start date. See, start date. Why is that? Because this request that was piped at 53 minutes ago, or like handled through this Dark compiler thing, or this program, my entire backend. Then it knew that comp to validate was indeed a dictionary that has a start date. That's where you get this autocompletion from, in fact. But then, let's say you change your UI and you rename this or whatever, then this request or this trace won't work anymore. And you'll need to rename this. So ideally, you just want to do that in one place. So, and that is right here. You just parse it into your own type. And it's in there that you do the translation if necessary. But since you cannot do or use types, I mean, what's the use, right? So, yeah. Not ready for production yet, in my opinion. All right, I'll leave the stream with those thoughts. I hope it was still a bit useful at the end. I had a good time. At least I got a little bit farther than I was able to get before, so I tried it out a little bit. So consumer-driven contract testing as the core concept of the language or something. Yeah, without the contract, yeah. Or the testing. Yes, that's it, Vincent. Hey, thanks for chilling out. Right, that was it for today. Thanks for watching, and I hope it was interesting for you as well. Thanks again for the feedback, Lumi Lead, and thanks for joining in, Vincent. See you next time. Peace. By the way, let's find someone to host, shall we? All right, I'm going to be hosting NoobCat. Enjoy her stream.